Have you ever felt like you're just memorizing a language instead of actually, using it? Well, today we're going to look at a method that completely flips that idea on its head. It's called task-based language teaching, or TBLT for short.
Think about it like this. When you learn to cook, do you just memorize recipes from a book? Or do you actually get in the kitchen and try to make a meal? TBLT takes that exact same learn by doing idea and applies it to language. It's all about using language to accomplish real-world goals.
Okay, so what is this learn by doing thing really? Let's get right into the core idea behind task-based language teaching. So at its heart, TBLT is all about learning by doing. I mean, it's right there in the name. Instead of drilling grammar rules over and over, you're given a real-world task you have to complete. This whole approach, which was really pushed forward by educators like N.S. Prabhu, says getting your message across is way more important than having perfect grammar. This slide really nails the difference, doesn't it? Traditional methods are kind of like building with Legos one specific brick at a time in a set order, but TBL, with what it calls an analytic syllabus, is more like being handed a picture of a cool spaceship and being told, go for it. You figure out which pieces you need as you go. So if you're planning a trip, you learn how to ask for prices and read schedules right then and there, because you need to. So where did this whole learn by doing idea even come from? Well, it's not just a random good idea. It's actually backed by some really solid research into how our brains are wired to pick up new languages. TBLT basically stands on two big ideas. The first one, language is just a tool, right? You learn the word for ticket because you're literally trying to buy one. And the second part is all about how our brains work. We just learn better when we're actively trying to solve a problem and communicate something meaningful. It's about engagement, not just cramming stuff into your head. And this quote here, man, it just perfectly sums up this idea called constructivism. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It just means that instead of you being an empty bucket that a teacher pours knowledge into, you're the one actually building your own understanding, brick by brick, through real experience. All right, so if learning is all about doing and building, what does that actually look like in a classroom? As you can probably guess, it creates a very different vibe, where the roles of the teacher and the student get a total shakeup. A typical lesson flows through three pretty clear phases. First up, you've got the pre-task. This is where the teacher kind of sets the scene and introduces the goal. Then, boom, you hit the main event, the task itself. This is where students roll up their sleeves, work together, and figure things out. And finally, you have the follow-up, where everyone comes back together to review how it went, and the teacher helps clear up any language points that were a bit tricky. And this is where the real magic happens. The teacher stops being a lecturer and becomes more of a guide, a consultant, you could say. They're there to help, but not to dictate. And the student, you're not a passive listener anymore. You're in the driver's seat. You are the communicator, the problem solver. It builds fluency for sure, but it also builds incredible confidence. Okay, but what happens when you mess up? What about making mistakes? I absolutely love this part. Instead of stopping the whole conversation for a big grammar lesson, the teacher just does something called recasting. So if you say, I go to store yesterday, the teacher might just casually reply, oh, you went to the store yesterday. Cool. See that? It corrects you without killing the vibe. It's a subtle but really powerful way to learn. Okay, so we keep talking about these tasks. It might be starting to sound a bit vague, right? So let's get concrete. What kind of stuff are students actually doing in one of these classrooms? Well, Prabhu broke tasks down into three main flavors. First, you have the information gap. This is literally like a game of Guess Who or Battleship. We each have different clues, and we have to talk to each other to solve the puzzle. Then there's the opinion gap. This is exactly what it sounds like, a friendly debate. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no? You defend your side. And finally, the reasoning gap. This is where you put on your detective hat and use clues to figure something out. And you can take this whole idea and scale it way up into something really cool called project work. Imagine your class decides to create its own school newspaper. First, you plan it all out in the target language. Then, you actually go out into the wild to do interviews and research. And finally, you bring it all back, assemble it, and present it. You're not just learning a language, you're creating something real with it. So after looking at the theory, the classroom, and all the tasks, what's the big takeaway here? Why does this whole approach even matter? Let's boil it all down. Number one, the goal is to get the task done. period. It's about communication, not perfection. Number 2, you only focus on grammar when you hit a roadblock, when you actually need it to solve a problem. 3, you learn by doing, by communicating. And 4, the goal is to be fully immersed, using the new language, not constantly leaning on your native one. And this completely changes how you measure success, right? Forget about the red pen marks and the grammar test scores. The only question that really matters is, did you get the job done? Did you successfully plan the trip or solve the puzzle? Success is all about what you can actually do with the language. Which leaves us with this one big question to think about. When it really comes down to it on your language learning journey, what's more important? Getting your message across, connecting with someone and being understood, or having every single sentence be grammatically perfect? TBLT has its answer, but I'm curious, what's yours?